Thank you very much for coming to Başkent University, first of all. My first question is going to be about your personal approach to drawing. And how would you describe a good cartoon?
Oh, that's a really good question because I work in the realm of editorial and political cartoons. My description might be slightly different than my colleagues who work in humor cartoons or animation or whatever. So the first thing that I look for in a good political cartoon is one that tells a good story on an interesting subject that's dealing with a unique perspective. And that's a hard thing to do. But the other thing that's special to cartoonists rather than, say, a columnist, I would love to see all of those things captured without any words, in only a picture. And that's really difficult to do. So, so every day when I do my cartoons, I aspire first to try to do a story that doesn't have any words, but sometimes I can't, so I add more words.
Okay, thank you very much. And your subjects of satire are mostly the ones in or the ones related to power. Yeah. So what's the function of cartoons towards the powerful?
Well, that's a really interesting question because I think that the first thing is that cartoons can be very powerful expressions, and they often speak from the voices of the people because everyone can read a cartoon. It doesn't take anybody any time to do cartoons. And I think that basically they're the voices of democracy. A good cartoon is something that expresses the point of view of the people, and obviously my perspective of people's relationship to power is that in a democracy, politicians answer to the people don't answer to the politicians. And so the cartoonist's job is to help remind the politicians that the people should be in charge.
Okay, well, you have been in the world of cartoons for a long time and you have witnessed the digital revolution in the world. And this has been in many areas of our everyday lives. So what are the effects of digital revolution on your art?
So in the Western countries, there's been a big impact of the digital revolution on cartoons because the newspapers, which is the natural home for cartoons, have become in trouble because many of the advertising has gone to the internet and the newspapers are not surviving so well. So they fire cartoonists. And but there are countries, let's say India and Brazil, where cartoonists are thriving because newspapers are thriving still. So in any country where there's good newspapers, then often you find cartoons. But in the digital realm, I think there's enormous possibilities for visual satire to find a new home. Animation was one of the major ways that people can go forward because it's a little bit like film, a little bit like the film that people are watching right now, is that it's very intoxicating to watch things move. And if you can make political satire that moves, then that can be really effective, I think. But also the thing in the digital realm now, my cartoons are viewed by more people around the world than ever before, thanks to the internet. And so my cartoons can be seen in every country, and it's a great opportunity to spread my work, and it makes it very exciting for me to do cartoons as a result.
Thank you. And in an internet profile, you describe your specialties as using art, caricature, and satire to engage readers in the democratic process. So, as an editorial cartoonist, how do you engage with your audience? Do you have any do's and don'ts?
Well, most of it is do's, not so many don'ts. But I think that the key thing is to be an effective cartoonist, which means to be a cartoonist who deals with important subjects of the day, engages the opposition, engages people on all sides of discussions. It means that you also have to have some sensitivity and awareness of what angers people and what upsets people. Because if you do some cartoons that deal with imagery, for example, that is too upsetting, then what happens is that people get so obsessed with the imagery you're using, they lose the point of your cartoon. At that position, your cartoon is no longer effective, and I am no longer an effective cartoonist. So my most important job is to be an effective cartoonist and be aware that being a cartoonist is like holding a hand grenade. okay? And if you throw it in the right direction and it lands in the right place, it's great. But it can also explode in your face if you're not careful. So I'm very aware that cartoons are very powerful, and so you have to be very smart the way you use them.
Well, freedom of expression has been an important topic in Turkey for many years. Yes. And in one of your talks, you say that in many parts of the world, the defining of freedom of expression is whether you can draw the head of state. Yes. So recently there has been several lawsuits prosecuted by the ruling powers against cartoonists because of their portraits of the ones in power. So what is your message to these cartoonists?
Well, I'm a great supporter of cartoonists around the world, whatever kind of situations of trouble that they might be in. But I've always believed this. I mean, we all like to laugh, right? You like to laugh, I like to laugh, everyone likes to laugh. And it's easy to laugh, but it's hard to laugh at yourself, isn't it? When you see somebody who can laugh at themselves, you look at them with respect. They're confident people, they're mature people. And I think the same thing happens in society. A society, it's easy for society to laugh at its neighbors for the way that they do things. It's harder for society to laugh at itself. But a mature society, sophisticated society, has the ability to laugh at itself. And when it comes to cartoonists, what is our job? Our job is to help people laugh, but to also, as a society, laugh at ourselves. And so I believe whatever society you live in, it's very important that the cartoonists are not punished, but they're embraced because they actually make the society stronger if you have it. And so in every place where I see cartoonists who are in trouble, they have my support. And the world is actually watching whenever we see cartoonists in trouble.
And my last question is going to be about the future, about your visions. How do you picture the future of cartoonists, considering the digital revolution and the progress on the freedom of speech?
Well, the first thing about the future of cartooning is that I believe that the next generation, those people under the age of 30, under the age of 25, they will all have the same desires that I had, which was to use visual imagery, to use humor as a vehicle for changing the world in a better direction, changing their societies. But I believe this generation is not going to use the same tools that I used. I was using pen nibs that were 100 years old and cartoons that I saw in newspapers that inspired me. But this new generation is going to be inspired by other things that they see on the internet. It could be a meme, it could be a video, it could be animation, but they'll still use this as a vehicle. And because of the internet, which is this amazing platform, it's going to give voice to many people in a way that in the past, newspapers were the restriction of the voices. The voices could only be heard in newspapers. Now on the internet, everyone's voice can be heard. So I believe that the future of cartoons and of satire will expand and will make, and I just think it's going to be a healthier place for all people and for all societies.
Okay, thank you very much. It's great having you here. And we wish you a great journey to the US. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much.